Welcome to the Effective Living series. This is your springboard for living effectively in the year 2022, and it's on television on the City Breakfast Daily, and it's also on the City Breakfast Show. My name is Bernard Avle. This is our third week, and we're talking about rebuilding professionally in the face of COVID-19 layoffs and shutdowns. Today we're talking about how to position yourself and grow professionally. My guest is the founder and CEO of Focus Life Group, Center for Transformational Leadership. It's called CTL Africa. He's a lawyer, a finance professional, corporate governance expert as well, and a John C. Maxwell certified leadership coach. He has worked over 3 decades in the professional sector as a senior level corporate executive, and these days he's helping organizations, nations, and individuals bring out their leadership potential. Samuel Ayim is my guest. Samuel, great to have you.
Thank you, Bernard. Thank you so much.
You've done 30 years in high-level corporate leadership. That's incredible.
Well, too long.
and so these days, you just help people and organizations to do better.
Absolutely. That's what we do. We do training, we do leadership coaching, and we also focus a bit more on the youth because we believe that we can't teach the old dogs new tricks, but if we can focus a bit on the younger generation and begin to inculcate some.
So leadership training, you do corporate coaching and all kinds of things.
Absolutely, yes, that's what we do.
So today we want to talk about how to position yourself and grow professionally. What's your approach? What are you talking about?
Thank you, Bernard. I think, you guys did a good job couching the topic, so it was not difficult. I was just going to focus on some of the key words in the topic that you have asked me to talk about.
Yeah.
Positioning yourself to grow professionally. There are 4 words that I would like to focus on. Once we do that, I think we would have solved a bit of the riddle, which is the words like positioning, yourself, growth, and professionalism. So those 4 words will guide our discussion, and if we understand them, we will be able to.
So maybe let's have professionalism. When we talk about professionalism, what are we talking about? What are the components?
Okay. So professionalism generally relates to, conducts, the aims, behaviors, the aims and things that characterize a particular profession or characterize a person as a professional. It's important. When I was studying sociology, there was a discussion on stratification of society, and there was a discussion on professionalism and vocation. And I remember the teacher focusing much on profession is one activity where you require a lot of academic qualification, and so generally it will be law, it will be medicine,
architecture, engineering.
Then they will put others like carpentry and things. They are not professions. But over time we realize that professionalism is not actually a particular activity. It's actually a behavior. It's a conduct. It's the mindset. Okay. Now recently I saw a lady who was selling kenke. It was a video. I think it was circulating on social media. A lady selling kenke, and this lady had packaged the kenke so beautifully and was distributing them from office to office. Now, you would say selling kenke is not a profession, but the way that has been packaged and the way she presented herself, and in fact when she presented it to one office, there were some comments were being made, but the way she actually took those comments in strides and carried herself, you said this is professionalism. So professionalism is actually not a what, it's actually a how anything is done. So you can have a professional journalism, as you can have somebody who is a journalist who is not professional. You can have an architect who is not a professional. You can have, so that is the essence. Then there are a few characteristics that we have to look out for when we are looking at professionalism. We are looking at specialized skills, knowledge. It's very, very important that when you are in a particular field, you have the knowledge you require. So specialized knowledge is important. We need competence. You cannot say you are a professional lawyer and there's a case you can't do it. Then you say, well, this is not, it doesn't work like that. Even if as a carpenter, they give you a job. And I tell you a story. There was there's this story that I heard of an organization that was manufacturing things. The equipment broke down. And so many people came to look at the equipment. They couldn't fix it. They called one other person who was recommended. He came, he looked around, few minutes, he hit something, and the machine started working. So he sent his bill for $1,000 or something like that.
Why are you
and
charging?
People said, why are you charging? You just spent 5 minutes. You want a breakdown? He says, okay, breakdown. Hitting is $100. Knowing where to hit, $900. So, I mean, the competence to deliver is important. Honesty, integrity, it's very important. Accountability. Professionals hold themselves accountable to themselves first. Okay, that is very important. Self-regulation, the way you conduct yourself, is absolutely important. Your image, okay, as you carry yourself around as a professional, how people see you. It's absolutely important. If you're going to grow in any profession, the perception is called a social mirror. How people see you is absolutely important. So those are some of the things
attributes of professionalism.
Exactly.
So I think you've dealt with. Let's talk about yourself now. You said so. There are 4 components of the topic.
Yes.
Professionalism is not a what; it's more like a how.
Exactly.
Better to be a professional kinkisela than an unserious engineer.
Absolutely.
So why are you discussing yourself? What do you mean by yourself?
Now, we say you're positioning yourself. Now, like you said, I've been in corporate life for several years, and I've seen a lot of executives waiting for somebody to promote them. You cannot, nobody is responsible for your promotion. Nobody is responsible for your growth. In fact, nobody is responsible for your life, not even your parents. Okay? And I tell people all the time, when your boss is coming to work, the only time he thinks about you is how his objective is going to be achieved. And who is going to help me is Bernard. And he'll think about you. So if you, Bernard, don't think about yourself as to how you're going to grow, you can stay there forever. So you matter. And your responsibility, taking responsibility for yourself matter. This means that you have to know yourself. Absolutely, you can't grow if you don't know yourself. And many of us are not growing because we don't know. We're just taking chances with our lives. But you have to know yourself. That will help you know where you want to go. Now, you also have to see value in yourself. Now, a lot of us don't really value ourselves. We think we're useless, we're not competent. We don't say it that much. If somebody says it to us, we would say, but when you're asked to do something, no, I can't do that. No, this is not. You're devaluing yourself. So you, who you are, is important. Your character is absolutely important. Growth in any profession is built on character. You cannot not develop your character and your values. So it's an inside job, Bernard. What is inside is what comes out. So professionalism doesn't just come by accident. It is your internal mechanisms that is going to break. So you take responsibility for yourself.
So this is self-leadership.
This self-leadership is actually very, very important. Important. There are several people have talked about the importance of leading yourself. Okay, because if you can't lead yourself, you know, you can't lead others. Okay? God holds you responsible for leading yourself and also leading others.
Amazing.
And self-leadership is actually very, very important. And the people who lead themselves, that is the cutting edge. That is what determines who you are.
Let's talk about growth now, because we've spoken about professionalism.
Yes.
And we've said that you also have to be responsible for your own leadership as a person.
Exactly.
But we're also saying, the topic is talking about growth, because it's about positioning yourself and growing professionally. So when we say growth, what are we talking about?
When we say growth, we are talking about, you see, let me put it this way. When a child is born, we all know a child is born, he begins to crawl, to sit, to walk, and then he begins to do things that we expect at a certain age. Now, when you start working in any profession, in any business, you start from a base. And you need to be able to advance beyond that base. And that is what growth is about. So you are a professional accountant. You get your ACCA with whatever. They give you your certificate. And I can tell you, one day I had one person who is an ACCA, I gave her my books to do my books for me, and he could not do it.
Oh, even though he has the ACCA?
Yes. So you can have, that's what I mean by professionalism is not what you do. It's not about your certification, but the experiences you've gathered. And what that means is that you have to be intentional. So growth doesn't just happen by accident. And a lot of people are in corporate life, in other businesses, and they're not intentional. They're just waiting to grow. You need to have a growth mindset.
A growth mindset.
Because if you don't have that mindset, what you're doing is that you're just, looking at things at a time. 1 point at a time, 1 point at a time. You need to have the mind to grow. You need to have the mindset that tells you that, look, I'm on a journey. Okay? And it's not just tactical. There's a long-term goal to this. And that is what the growth is.
You have a very interesting chart here where you distinguish between accidental versus intentional growth. I wanted you to just comment on some of the points there.
All right.
Accidental versus intentional growth. So
all right.
If you can give me a few comments on that.
All right. Because of the time, I didn't want to
elaborate too much. Just one or two.
But you see, a lot of us are living our lives accidentally. We're waiting for things to happen to us. And when a person is living accidentally, there are a few things that you see. They are planning to grow tomorrow. They are planning to do things tomorrow. They're waiting for growth to happen to them. They learn from their mistakes. It's good to learn from your mistakes, but people who are growth-minded, they don't learn from their mistake. They learn from the mistakes of others. They learn before things happen. When things are going wrong somewhere, they are learning from it. People who are living their life accidentally are just waiting for luck to happen to them. But if you are intentional about your growth, you're working hard. You're working daily on it. Now, another thing, we said people who are living their life accidentally, they quit early and often. They start this, they stop. Because the heat is a bit too hot, then they stop. But people who are growth-minded knows that the heat is good to harden the person. So they will continue and persevere hard and long to be able to achieve it. One other thing that is important, there are a few others, but let me think like a victim. I mean, I've seen people in organization and things change and they are doing restructuring and they say, I've been here 20 years. Why are they doing this to me? This boy just came 2 years ago. Why have they given him this job? Because they have not planned their life intentionally. Things are happening around them, they are not aware. But people who are growth conscious, they take everything as learners. Okay. We say leaders are learners. The last thing I want to talk about being intentional is so many of us have stopped learning after graduation.
They pack their books and say,
maybe chew poor pass and forget. Okay, but people who are growth-minded never stop learning. Anytime I listen to your channels and I see, different things, different ideas that you guys, I say, what time do these people get to go read, etc.? But that is what growth is about. You are constantly learning.
Wow.
And if I can take just quickly on the growth mindset
versus the
goal
mindset.
The goal mindset.
Yes, so goal conscious versus growth conscious.
Goal setting, I believe in goal setting. It's very important. But goal setting has a limitation. Goal setting, when you focus on a goal, a lot of the time, I see professionals focus on a destination. If I get to 50 years, or if I get to this position,
or if I make $1 million,
or if I make $1 million,
I'll be okay.
That is goal conscious. I'll be okay. So that is destination disease.
Destination disease.
Yes, if I don't get there, I'm not leading. There are some people who are not leading. They say because I don't have the position. That's a destination disease. Okay, but people who are goal conscious know that life is a journey, leadership is a journey, professionalism is a journey, and they set goals all right, but they know that if this is not here today, if the 1 million is not there, it doesn't matter. It may come tomorrow. It's a learning process. When you set goals, they motivate you. But when you are growth-minded, everything that happens matures you. It affects your person. Goal setting is seasonal. You set a goal and you fix it and it's done. But when you are growth-minded, you're looking at life as a lifelong thing.
Wow.
And that's why when you get to 60, a lot of people tell me, why did I get out of work at 52? I said, who set the 60?
You retired at 52?
Yes.
And you are doing your own thing now?
I'm doing my own thing. I said, but who set the 60? I mean, when I was leaving, my employers were like, what's wrong with you? My colleagues were, what's wrong with you? I said, but who said the 60? But a lot of us have set at 60, and we will start something at 60. But the experience shows that nobody starts and succeeds anything after 60. only a few. So that is growth-minded. When you are growth-minded, you go 60 and before 60 you're doing things. After 60 you're doing things. Look at people. John Maxwell is my mentor. He's 74.
Wow.
And the guy is every year speaking.
It's knowing different things, always coming up with new ideas.
The Nigerian man will say retire but not tired. So that is what growth mindset is all about, you know.
I like that.
So
let's talk about the next issue, the positioning now. Positioning, because we've spoken about professionalism,
yes,
spoken about yourself,
yes,
spoken about growth, and you are breaking the topic down nicely. Yeah. I like it. Now, when you say positioning, what do you mean?
And this is probably the most important in the topic, because this is the, if you like, the verb, the action in it. Now, positioning is putting yourself or arranging yourself or things in a way that people will see it as it is, as they want it to be. Okay, so it is about arranging yourself, organizing yourself, placing yourself, or promoting yourself in a way that people will see that this is who you are. Now, it is very, very important. Positioning means preparing yourself.
Okay.
And there's a popular proverb in our local language, many other languages translated, if a child washes the hands well, he eats with kings.
Yes.
Now, positioning is about that. So wherever you are at the moment, you are preparing yourself, you're organizing yourself, you are arranging your activity, your behavior, your conduct in such a way that people will be able to see that this boy, Bernard, before you were put to host the morning show on City, somebody looked at Bernard and said, this boy can host the show. I mean, you didn't host the show before they put you there.
At all.
At all. But you had what? Prepared yourself. The way you talked, the way you carried yourself, the way you did what you were doing. That is what positioning is about. Now, what that implies is that, first and foremost, you have to take responsibility, as we have said. You have to be intentional. You have to be proactive. Again, it involves performance. Okay? If you are at this level and you are not delivering, and you're expecting to be put at that level, you missed it. Wrong positioning. Okay? At this level, you have to deliver.
I like this one. Motivation keeps you going. Discipline keeps you growing.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Absolutely. Positioning requires discipline. You see, when you are applying for a job, you're excited, they give you the job, you're motivated, they give you initially. But after a while, people get routinized, they get used to it. They get used to the boss and they take the boss for granted. Okay, initially when you were giving, you were motivated. That's what gives you the job. That keeps you inside. But what keeps you inside is the discipline that you continue to perform. Very, very important. It also involves sacrifice. Okay? I mean, in my own life, I had left my group job and went into country job just to be able to understand investment banking, just to be able to understand commercial banking. I had to leave my group job to, sometimes you have to sacrifice. Some people don't want to do that. It's very important when you're in a corporate setting, you are asked to do this, you say it's not my job. Wrong positioning. Okay? So it's very important. And also service. How do you help others in their job? I mean, maybe you finish your work, somebody is not finished. You can do something to help. You go, your colleague's job, you help him to do it. Absolute contribution. I mean, you can say whatever, you can go and shout and do what you know. And as people have said, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Wow. This is Effective Living Series. My guest is Ayim, founder and CEO of the Focus Life Group, Center for Transformational Leadership Africa. And our topic is very simple. We are trying to position yourself for professional growth. And it's broken the topic down into 4 keywords. Yourself, positioning, professional, and growth. Now, he's given us highlights about all of this. So what I want him to do now is to give us a summary of what he said so far, and then some tips for professional growth. I don't know whether what you've given me is part of a book you've written, because there's so much information in there. I don't know if you have a book written on this. If not, please put it together.
Not yet.
It's so loaded.
It's just part of my own learning also, and the experiences that we have.
So give me a quick summary of some of the things you've said, and then we'll get into that.
So in sum, a few points, Bernard. First of all, to position for growth is a personal responsibility.
Good.
You have to take your responsibility personally. Second, it has to be intentional. What that means is that you have to plan your growth yourself. I mean, some people are sitting waiting for HR to find training for them. No. You have to design your own training plan before the training plan of HR comes. Growth, you have to be growth conscious, okay, as we have explained. You have to be consistently competent in what you're doing. That's what we are saying. Professionalism is about performance. It's about how you do things. It's not about any particular activity. You can be in one activity and the other. One is professional, one is not. Character, we've talked about it. It's an inside job. Professionalism is about character. It's a foundation for trust. Values. I know some of my colleagues in the Association of Professionals would probably have talked to you about values. It's one of the big things that we need to work on, and we need to be able to bring our... Because yesterday I was listening to a presentation on Singapore, and you see how values have helped that country to grow. When we had it's values. Then live an honest life of integrity.
Let's end with some professional tips, so practical tips for professional growth.
All right.
Some practical tips for professional growth.
All right. So practically, what do you do? First, as a professional, if you want to grow, create your own growth plan.
Okay. Your own growth plan?
Your own growth plan.
Okay.
From wherever you are, you have to know where you are going 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from here. You have to have your plan. If you don't have your plan, nobody will do that plan for you.
Okay.
So have a growth plan. Number two, ensure that you have the requisite professional qualifications. Every profession requires some qualifications. Recently, I was speaking to somebody. He's a very good counselor, and he does very well help marriages to. And some people were asking him to go and get some professional qualification because he wanted to go on some programs, and they were saying, "Where's your certificate?" And he was like, "That's what distinguishes me. I don't want a certificate. I know to do the job." So he consulted. I said, "My brother, yes."
You know the work, but get a certificate.
But get a certificate. Very, very important. So whatever you're doing, certify, get certified. Very important. Continuously learn and understand your field. This is absolutely important. Things are evolving in your field all the time. Connect with professional associations. So I'm a lawyer by profession. I don't go to court. These days I do legal things opportunistically, but I always pay my dues and I go to the bar associations meetings.
Bar conferences.
So you have to be there, okay? The associations. Seek out and engage in events in the industry. Things are happening around your area. You have to be there. Networking, strategic networking. Very, very important. Know what you want, who you want to meet, at what time, and so on and so forth. Look for mentors and coaches. Okay, this is new field, especially coaching, but there are a number of people who are doing coaching here. You can also, things like subscribing to your professional journals and things like that, so you know what is going on
in your sector.
And so on and so forth. Very, very important. So those are some of the things, a few more that we can talk about, but in view of your time, maybe we can bring it there. But Bernard, growth is very important. It's absolutely important that wherever you are, you don't stay there. Because if you have a child that is not growing, you're not happy about it. The same way, if you're working for an organization and you're not growing, you're doing the same thing over and over, and you're not expanding, it's not really good. You have to
expand your skill set.
Expand your skill set.
Move out of your comfort zone.
Move out of your comfort zone. Take challenges. Final word. My final word, Bernard, is credibility.
Okay.
Credibility is absolute key. Credibility gives you authority. Okay? Your boss is not going to promote you unless he believes in you. Now, John Maxwell has a book on the laws of leadership. One of the laws of leadership is that people buy into the leader first before they buy into your vision. It's absolutely important because credibility protects your professionalism. Okay? Credibility is what creates trust. And nobody is going to give you a higher job if they don't trust you. And that will be my last word. Wow. If you want to position for growth, you have to be credible. Whether it is an entrepreneur, if somebody is going to invest in you, they have to know that you're credible, that the money they are going to invest there will not go waste. So that will be my last word: credibility, credibility, credibility.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Samuel. Great insights into positioning yourself for professional growth, exposition of what professional is. I like the fact that professionalism is how you do it, not what you do.
Absolutely.
So you can be a professional kinky seller and a mediocre engineer or
Absolutely.
accountant. And then there's also growth, which is your responsibility.
Absolutely.
And in fact, self-leadership is a key issue. And then positioning as well. And then, of course, the final word, credibility. Thank you. And Samuel is a founder and CEO of Focus Life Group Center for Transformational Leadership Africa. And he's a lawyer and a banker by training. But they do a lot of training. He's a coach as well. A John C. Maxwell certified leadership coach and motivational teacher. And that's all we have time for today. We've been talking about positioning yourself and growing professionally. It's part of our third week in the Effective Living series. This week is on rebuilding professionally in the face of COVID, layoffs, and shutdowns. We'll see you next time with another presentation. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.